I have 40 unread books, and in this series I'm going to try to finish my whole TBR. There are a few rules to this challenge. First of all, I have to finish my whole TBR, that's all the books that are turned around like this, before I go on a vacation in October, so I can do a big, huge shopping spree when I'm there. Secondly, I am allowed to buy books, but then I will have to finish those before October too, so that might not be so smart. I also have 4 Christmas books on my TBR, and I was like, what am I going to do with them? Because, well, I want to finish my whole TBR before October, and these books are Christmassy and more December-like vibe. So I decided I will finish 2 books, and I will finish the 2 thickest books. In this first video in the TBR series, I'm going to read 2 books, and one I'm going to decide myself, and the other will be picked by someone in my living space. I don't know. We'll see. I decided to start off with Daughter of the Pirate King because this has been on my shelf for the longest time. I love YA fantasy, and I feel like I always fly through this book, so this is a great starter. It's the next day, and last night I read until a little bit past midnight, and this morning I read for over an hour, and I'm currently on page 206, and I'm actually flying through this book. This book is so addictive. I really can't say that much more about this book because that way I will spoil things, and I don't want to spoil anything if you want to read this book, but I would recommend. It's easy to read, it just flows. Always something happening, and it's not like there are long scenes with her doing things that you don't care about. The stakes are high. I wouldn't say I really care that much about the characters, but I care about the plot, so it makes me still enjoy this book a lot. If you're wondering what these books are doing here, I once put them there because I was too lazy to find a place on my shelves for them, and they're still standing there. So I haven't really explained what this book is about, so let me tell you while I am on my way to my boyfriend's house. Daughter of the Pirate King is a story about Alosa, who is the daughter of, well, you guessed it right, a pirate king. But in this world there are 3 main pirate families, and between these families there is a map. And each family has a part of this map. If you find the island to which the map leads, you are believed to become richer than anyone else in this entire world. On this siren island lay all the treasures that all the sirens have collected over all these years. So of course every pirate wants to take home these treasures. Alosa is on a mission to let herself be kidnapped onto the ship of the rivaling pirate family to find the map and take it home. As you might be able to see in here, it's a very rainy day. But I said in the beginning of this video I have 40 unread books, but I actually don't know for sure if it's exactly 40. Because some time ago I counted them and there are 40, but I feel like since that time I read 3 or 4 books. So I don't know exactly how many books I have, so it's a good idea to count them. I hear the rain right now, it's really loud. My room is literally surrounded by windows, so you probably hear a lot of rain, but I think it's actually cozy. By the way, if you hear me count, I will start in English, but I'm so much faster counting in my mother tongue, so I'll switch to that, but you don't hear it because I'm gonna speed this up, because I'm not gonna make you wait. Okay, I have 36 unread books, so it's not exactly 40. Wait, I had 37 when I started this series. I have to include Daughter of the Pirate King. So right now, it's 36, but at the beginning of the video it was 37. So basically 40. At this point, 3 books doesn't even make that big of a difference anymore, because it's just a lot. I finished Daughter of the Pirate King. It's still the same day, so I feel quite accomplished, because normally I'm not a fast reader. And I finished this one quite quickly. My cat is sleeping over here. Let me see if I can show it. Don't mind the mess in my room. This morning she snuggled in with me while I was reading this book. And about this book is so fun. I just don't have any other word for it than just fun. It's just a blast. I really like pirate stories. As an author myself, I still want to write a book about pirates, and this idea has been like stirring in my mind, I think about 2 years. But I'm not yet there to write it because I'm busy. So this book made me like, yes, pirates, because I enjoyed so much reading about these worlds. And this book is so fun. I like the element of the sirens, because normally sirens are more enemy for your story, and now in this book it's really like a sort of addition. I can't say it without spoiling it. It is used in such a fun way that I think everyone will love it. But just if you love YA fantasy, you just have to read this book. I gave it 4.75 stars. Not 5 stars because I don't really care that much about the characters. But like the story and the plot is just amazing. You're gonna love it. And now that we finished Daughter of the Pirate King, I have to choose a new book. And this is the person I chose.
Yo! What's up?
Alright, he's going to choose the book I'm gonna read next. And we're gonna do this awkward waiting music like.
This book.
So we're gonna read Mortal Engines.
Multiple engines.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start reading. So I'm going to start Mortal Engines, and I actually wanted to save this one for a different video, but I guess I'll read it now and I'll talk about it in that video too. Can't spoil what that video is gonna be, but you'll see it soon enough. It might be my second video, I don't know. Anyways, I honestly don't know that much anymore about this book. It's actually not in English, I realize now. It just has the English title, it's a translation, which I'm a little bit scared of because translations sometimes are a bit off, but we'll see. What I also found interesting is that this author I've just found out is a male. And the thing I have with male authors is that I always seem to get female characters wrong. I know Rick Riordan, I read the Percy Jackson series, is not really like that, but most of them are just a little bit too about women. But we're gonna see if Philip Reeve does it well. Mortal Engines is set in a dystopian world, and we don't know exactly when it's set in time because it's never really told. We know there's a museum and they have stuff from around the 15th century, so it's quite far into the future. In this world, humanity survives on these so-called traction cities, and these are just cities that move around on caterpillar track and they swallow other cities. I first thought it might be sort of something alive about these cities, but that's not the case. They open up their city mouth and they take in a smaller city, and then they use the people that live there as slaves and use products from that city like metal and wood to fuel their machines. In this world we see Tom, and he grows up in the city of London. This is a quite big city, so it's not really easily attacked by any other cities. He gets punished and has to work in the underbelly of the city for a night, where he meets Valentine. And Valentine is his biggest hero. He's a sort of archaeologist. He's super famous for it. We don't know exactly why. People just love him. And he's also really closely involved with the politics in London. He also meets his daughter, Catherine, and together they search for anything valuable because the city has finally captured another prey again. And now they're dismantling it, and they are supposed to search for anything that could be of worth for the museum. And suddenly Tom sees that Valentine is about to be attacked, so he stops it just in time. And he sees this girl with a massive scar on her face, and he runs away. And Tom is like, I have to impress Catherine, because he's your typical teenage boy. He's, I think, 15 years old, and he just wants to impress girls. So he runs after her, and finally the police shoot the girl. We later find out she's called Hester Shaw in the leg, and she does not like to be captured, so she jumps into this type of hole that lays out all the mud and everything else just comes from a city. She jumps into this hole, and before she does that, she says something, I don't know the exact words, but she says something to Tom about Valentine is not to be trusted and her name is Hester Shaw. She says, ask him about it. So Tom says this to Valentine, not the part about not to be trusted, but he says, this girl Hester Shaw was so strange, and Valentine just pats him on the back or something. It's like, oh, everything's going to be fine. And then suddenly he feels himself being pushed over the edge, and he falls down too. And everything goes black, and he wakes up in the sand, and he sees London driving away, and he's there with Hester Shaw. In this book, they're both trying to find their way back to London, each for their own motives. We also follow Catherine, the daughter of Valentine, who starts to uncover some secrets about her dad and the government. So I finished Mortal Engines last night, and I'm here to give you my full review. I think I have such mixed feelings about this book, because I started off and I was like, at first page I was like, what did I get myself into. But I was just reading it and I was like, these are words I read in my history books and not in a good way. And even after 5 pages, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I start reading and reading more. Let's go. And I enjoyed it. And then the tension was rising and I was like, let's go. And then it reached its climax and it just went like this. There was constant action, but I don't really care that much anymore. It just felt a little bit of the same. And maybe that's just me. I was waiting for answers that just took such a long time to come because we had this build up and we knew something about a weapon called Medusa. But it never was really explained until maybe the last 100 pages. So I think the first part of this book, especially like the first 150 pages, are worth it. It's super fun. Isn't really hard to read. I was expecting this to be a really heavy read. I think the ending was a little bit rushed for me. So I was waiting this whole time for this ending and then it just went like... That's the only way I can explain it. It just went so fast. The ending was cool, but it should have been longer, this part of the book, because it could have just taken up 150 pages and I would be happy with it. Because it had so much potential, but it just was too rushed for me. This man tried to write a romance, but I think he could have just left it out. I'm currently editing, but I have a little note. I originally talked about the way Philip Reeves described women, but I took way too long, so let me explain real quick. The way he describes women is a little bit off, I believe, because often he describes women as beautiful or ugly and not really anything in between. When he first meets Hester Shaw, he uses many words to describe how ugly she is, and that put me off a little bit. And later in the story, there's also a couple. I don't think they have a name or something, but I remember the man being described in the way his presence was in the room, and the woman was only described as beautiful, and that's it. Used a lot throughout the story to describe women, either way, beautiful or ugly. So if you find that off-putting, it doesn't happen on every page, but every time it happens, it does ick me a little bit. So if you don't really like that, I would not recommend this book. But overall, 3.5 stars. See you next video!